What? Okay, one. Cheers. Alright. Let's go.
Okay.
Two. Yeah.
Okay, give me a second.
No, absolutely not. Let's go.
Okay.
Chum charum.
Chum charum.
Chum charum. It's not that bad. Didn't want to cut it in half. Oh.
No. That's what happens.
Oh my god. Okay. First, you're gonna need 2.5 pounds of butter. That's not butter. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna do that again. No, not at all. Okay. A couple cloves of garlic. You're gonna need so sick. I don't want to eat it. Hi guys, and welcome to episode 3. This one's going to be Bind, Tourtiere, Kill. So we're going to be showing you how to make a traditional French-Canadian meat pie. So let's go. So what you'll need for this recipe, first of all, you're going to need a rolling pin or a big glass bottle, like an empty booze bottle, that's fine too. A pie tin. For the crust itself, you're going to need 2.5 cups of flour and a half pound of butter, and then 1 beaten egg to brush over the crust. And for the filling, you're gonna need a half kilo of pork and beef mixture, a couple cloves of garlic, half a diced onion. I got a 1/4 teaspoon of ground sage in here with 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves, and then another 1/4 teaspoon of ground thyme. And obviously lots of fresh cracked pepper. So we're gonna do a very basic pastry crust called pâte frisée, which is pretty much just butter and flour with a little bit of water to hold it together. Most people do this in a food processor, but I'm going to show you an example because I know a lot of people don't have food processors of how you can do this with your hands. So pretty much you just start out by pinching and rolling the butter and the flour together. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a coarse crumb. Now all of the recipes tell you do this until you get a coarse crumb, which is really hard to know what they're talking about unless you've seen it and felt it. So I'll show you as soon as I'm done doing this. It can take a while by hand, but it's worth it because this crust is super delicious. So just to reiterate, this does take a while. I've been doing this for a while off camera, but the results are awesome. The only thing you don't want is you don't want to see big chunks of butter in this. You want the butter and the flour to be pretty much fully combined until it resembles this. This is what a coarse crumb should look like, right? I still have some bigger chunks of butter in there that I'm going to get rid of now. But this is pretty much what you're looking for when the dough's on this way. Now is a little bit tricky because for this dough you honestly only need like a tablespoon or 2 of water. If you add too much, it'll get really hard. So just start with a few drops, like that, and then combine it with your hands. You just want it to start sticking together. Turning into something that resembles more of a dough. Keep combining it. And then if it's still crumbly after you combine this, you can add more. This doesn't have anything that can be super overworked in it, so I wouldn't worry about it. It's not a rising dough, so you can just give her for a bit and see how it goes without being too afraid of f***ing it up. Alright, so I can already see that this probably needs a little bit more because it's still crumbling apart. I'm just gonna add a little the tiniest bit of butter. And then if you can bring it out on your table, you can get a better idea. You're also going to chill this for a while, so it will come together a bit better. Just keep adding tiny little bits of water until it looks like a dough that'll stay together for you. It's not going to knead like a regular dough either. Just gonna fight you a little bit. Okay, so you're gonna want to cover this in saran wrap and put it in the fridge for like an hour, and then you're gonna take it out again until it gets back to a rollable temperature before you roll your pie crust out. So now we're gonna get the filling ready. Just heat up a couple tablespoons of oil on medium heat. And the two things you're gonna add right away, once this oil is totally heated up, is gonna be the meat and the onions. And what I usually do is I'm going to stir this once, and then you're going to leave it for a bit so that you get some browning on the bottom before you stir it. So it'll feel like a really long time, but if you stir it too much, you won't get any of that nice browning, which really gives it the most flavor. So I'm going to stir this just so it combines a bit more. Get all the surface area down to the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to leave it for a few minutes. And again, obviously if it starts smoking and you smell like it's burning, you should move it, but really you can leave this for a while because there's quite a bit of moisture in the meat and the onions. Alright, so now I'm going to give it a little stir. And you can see you can break it up a little bit more now. Now is the point at which you can start breaking up the ground meat. You can see a lot of liquid has come out of, liquid and fat has come out of the onion and the meat. And you can add your garlic and all your seasoning now. So we got like 3 cloves of garlic there. And then our sage, thyme, and cloves. And then salt. I would do salt to taste, so salt it a little bit now, and then once it's all cooked, I would taste it and then do it from there. But generally, meat needs quite a bit of salt. Also, salt is amazing. Don't ever undersalt anything, but taste as you go always, so you don't oversalt it. Fresh cracked pepper. I like quite a bit, but you can do it however you like. So to this, I'm going to add a little bit of flour that I'm going to cook off. So when you add flour to something like this, you want to make sure that you cook it off. You fry it a little bit. You can use it as a thickening agent, but if you don't fry it for long enough, it tastes like flour, and you really don't want that. It's pretty fucking gross. And once I fry it, I'm going to add a little bit of water. I'm going to boil that and reduce it until it looks like a meat pie filling, which you'll see at the end. Once you get about this consistency, you'll know you're done. You just don't want it to fall out of the crust when you're eating it. So you kind of want it to be a little bit stuck together. But that's good to go. You just want to get it to room temperature before you put it in the pie crust. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to roll out the dough. I've already rolled out the bottom into a 9-inch pie tin. And one thing you're going to want to do before you put the meat in is just score the bottom with a fork. bottom from popping out. Just got the square over there. It's not going to hurt it. Alright, so once you've done that, you can start working on the top here. So just flatten it out a bit with your hand. Rolling it out as big as you need it. And you're going to want a lightly floured surface, just so it doesn't stick, but you don't want to add too much flour because it'll just incorporate back into the dough and make it dry. Now, once you've gotten your crust out to the right size, you're going to add the meat into the pie here. So make sure that this is at least room temperature. You can even get it cold. Just spread it out evenly. All right. Now is always the moment of truth. Don't worry if you pick it up, because I might. Easiest way to do it is to fold it into quarters. Very gently the whole time, because this dough can be pretty temperamental being moved. On. You're going to want to move it around so that you get an even seal around the edge. Honestly, you can patch this up with the loose pieces of dough that you get around the side as well. You start trimming the dough around the edges like so. Run your knife along the edge here. So now you're just going to kind of go around the pie and pinch it together. You can do some fancy pie trimming if you like. I don't, because it's just going to get eaten very quickly. You can use a fork even if you think that's cute. But one thing that you do have to do with this, with any pie really, is cut a couple of vents in it. So the steam can vent out of the pie and not just your entire pie. Once you're satisfied with how pretty it looks, you're going to give it a little egg wash. So I'm just going to use my hands. Just get a little layer on your hands. Hands are great. Hands are the best utensil for most cooking because you can choose how gentle or how rough you want to be. Just make sure they're clean hands. All kinds of shit on your pie. Literally or figuratively. This just gives it a nice brown color when it comes out of the oven. Make sure you get it all the way, rub it in around the edges of the pie. But not too thick of a layer because you don't want a scrambly egg layer on your pie. Alright, this is ready to go in the oven. A lot of people will protect the crust with the edges of the crust with aluminum foil. I don't usually bother, I just watch it. The crust does have a tendency to brown and burn faster than the rest of the pie. But if you're keeping an eye on it and turn down the temperature, if you feel like it's browning too fast, then you'll be fine. So because the meat filling is already cooked, you really just want to blast the crust. So we got the oven at 425. Again, watch this, and if you don't feel like you can watch it, definitely wrap a little bit of tin foil around the edges of the pie, which you'll take up in the last 15 minutes of cooking. Now this is going to go in for about 40 minutes. I'm saying get to the tin foil, and let's see how it goes. All right, it's done. This one's hot out of the oven, so we'll see how it works. As you can see, I got some cracking in it. Doesn't matter, everybody fucks up sometimes. especially with pastries, but it's still gonna taste fucking awesome. So, if you guys could smell this, you would want it in your mouth holes. Eating in silence. It's so good.
Alright, I'm gonna turn off the camera so we can eat this like pigs in our own privacy, so thanks for watching!
Thanks, guys.